I didn't love myself as much. And I know it seems weird. It's like, okay, well, how does eating meat make you love yourself more?
Today, I'm talking to Lillie. Eating an animal-based diet, Lillie has seen many improvements, including things like joint pain relief. If you enjoy this video, please click like and also please subscribe. And consider supporting me by becoming a channel member. You can do that by clicking the join button under this video. Let's meet Lillie. How did you find this way of eating?
So up in San Diego, California, and my mom and dad were actually both alcoholics and addicted to drugs. And so when you have that kind of relationship, it doesn't really last that long. And so eventually, when I was really young, they got a divorce. Then my dad ended up not coming around. And so my mom was a single parent trying her best to pay for my sister and I to have the best food that she can afford. But she, being an alcoholic, had a really hard time keeping a job as well. So we grew up on food stamps, shopping at the 99-cent store, and just eating a lot of processed foods, top ramen, macaroni and cheese, peanut butter jelly sandwiches. And at the time, I didn't realize that I was, in a calorie deficit. I know the word calories, people have opinions on what that really means, but in general, I just wasn't eating that much food, where I actually developed like a late bloomer. I had my menstrual cycle much later than other women. My jaw, the way my structure of my mouth was built, I had a very narrow jaw. I had to have a retainer that I cranked open to increase my jaw size. I had teeth up in the sky, all of the headgear, braces, rubber bands, a neck brace. I was all over the place as a little kid with all the things that they had going on to fix me. And I'm below average height. So I'm 5'2" tall. So I just think, like, in general, underdeveloped as a human. And then when I went to college, it was my first time being exposed to all the food you can possibly have and unlimited amounts. So I was really happy because growing up, I was teased for being toothpick legs, flat chested, chicken legs, all the, you're too small kind of making fun of, which I guess is a better way of being made fun of. But in general, I still had a lot of self-esteem issues because I didn't have that parental love. And so I just wanted a guy to love me. And so I went to college and I started eating more food and saying, yes, I'm going to have more curves. Guys like women who are thick. And at the same time, I'm now having more acne and joint pain and menstrual cycle cramps. I'm having yeast infections. I'm having all sorts of small things that I thought were normal. Oh, this just happens when you're in puberty or when you're becoming more of an adult. And then I started also getting in the habit to be healthy, to eat a handful of raw spinach and a plate full of raw broccoli every single day. So that way I would be justified in having my pizza, donuts, brownies, alcohol, and all those things that happen in the evening time. I was a track and field athlete for all 4 years in high school and 4 years in college. So I still, even though I did gain 20 pounds throughout my college years, I looked lean. I mean, I was very inflamed. I was not like, a skinny lean person, but, you holding a lot of water. But I wasn't overweight because at that point I was still running and I was working out a ton. But then after I graduated college, I said, okay, that's it. I can't work out anymore. My knees are so shot from, at that time, I thought from hurdling and sprinting. But as the years continued, where I stopped running and stopped working out, my knee pain just continued to get worse as I continued to eat my handful of broccoli, my handful of spinach, and all these like more high oxalate containing foods. And then I ended up meeting my husband. Now, my husband, he had already done the all fruit fruitarian diet, the vegan diet, vegetarian, paleo, keto, Mediterranean. He'd done it all because he was just trying to live his longest, healthiest, most happy, abundant life. But what that image is a plant-based diet. So he started doing more plant-based and was getting more sick. He was eating a standard American diet and he was way healthier than when he was eating a vegan diet. So he had to try to reverse all these gut issues and skin inflammation that he had caused from so much, a lot of plants. He then did a keto diet, reversed his gut issues, healed his skin, and was healthy until he met me. Hey, so I said, you get to have pizza and alcohol and donuts and brownies. Like, that's what you do. he's 9 years older than me as well. So he was like, no, I don't want to have these things. But Lillie, I will drive you to go and get donuts. I will happily sit there with you. He never pressured me, never made me feel guilty, anything like that. But I just was so, I always questioned, well, why do I need to have my spoonful of cookie dough while we watch TV and you don't have to have that and you're still happy and you're still loving life? So I just kept being around a positive influence, which really helps, and asking more questions. Well, why don't you have tomatoes? Or what's wrong with this food? We would go grocery shopping. I'd be putting food in the cart thinking I'm super healthy. He would pick it up, read the ingredients label, put it back, and say, that one's for you, honey. What's wrong with it? Tell me, like, what did you read? What did you see? And just by being very inquisitive and asking more questions, it led me down the rabbit hole of learning about vegetable oils, seed oils, more refined grains. So I ended up slowly having less processed foods, having less alcohol, having less of these desserts, and feeling better. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I wasn't trying to clear my skin. I didn't know that these things were even happening to me at the time. But as I slowly just started making just minor changes with my diet, I started losing weight, having less mood swings, menstrual cycle cramps, yeast infections, acne, joint pain, all sorts of things started improving. But his health was descending because he was around me, who was still sneaking in some pizza nights. And so one day I came home from work and he just looked like he had seen a ghost. He was just pale, shocked, and his skin was inflamed, red, raised. And he was like, I can't keep eating like this, Lillie. I have to go back to eating a ketogenic diet because I know that that really helps with my gut health, which impacts his skin. So he started doing that. And then slowly I was like, okay, well, I guess maybe we won't have bread this week, or we won't have pasta this month. And then it just slowly turned into, he was like, I think the Brussels sprouts causing me an issue. I think the asparagus isn't working with my digestion. So he was removing more plant foods. I'm over here saying, well, what the heck? You got more bacon and I have more cauliflower rice? Well, that's not fair. So slowly I started having less veggies. So a lot of people, they think like, oh, Lillie, she started more carnivore because she was trying to heal an autoimmune condition or lose weight or mental health. And I actually just saw a lot of improvements removing alcohol, removing refined sugars and the processed foods. And then I have more flexibility in what I can do. And I feel very lucky and blessed that I don't have severe autoimmune responses or skin conditions or mental health issues with certain plant foods. But initially, that's how it all began. Is just I'm a minimalist. I gravitate towards things being simple. And if you're telling me I can get all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients I need in their most bioavailable and easy to digest state, eating animal foods, sweet, I'm there. I love the taste.
Yeah, I definitely like the minimalism part of this way of eating. One thing really sticks out to me in everything you said. I mean, there's a lot of things, but one thing is just up there, and that is, did you say 1 cup of raw broccoli?
Yeah.
I can't think of anything worse.
I thought that that was just like the healthiest thing to do. Like I knew it tasted bad. Like even with the spinach, I wouldn't make a salad. I wouldn't put dressing on it. I would just buy a bag and put a handful in my mouth and just get it done because I just thought that
Oh
was
my goodness.
what to do.
Oh wow.
And I do think
Um,
broccoli and spinach can be healthy. I just think I overdid it, and I think that it caused me more
mhm.
pain. So, and I think
Yeah,
I'm a person as well, but it's not necessary either. So I was doing all this self torture, and I didn't even have to do it.
right. Um, so once you started making this transition over to eating predominantly animal-based diet, like how long ago was that?
It was about 4.5 years ago where I met my husband. So I started learning, oh, well, you know what? Turns out eating chips, even if you have your handful of broccoli, ain't going to save you. And so it was slowly for like a year and a half, I was slowly having less to the point where very much animal based 3 years ago.
How have things improved? Like you had that knee pain, that was in both knees,
Yeah.
and how has that improved for you?
Well, so I used to not be able to walk upstairs at all. I was like, avoid stairs, elevator, but even just walking in general, no stairs even needed. I like each step was so painful. There was times where I had to call off of work because I had to use I'm going to be able to go to work with the crutches. And so I would be icing my knees, taking Advil. Oh, I wish I did the things I know now. But I was just trying to numb the pain and I just thought it was inevitable. oh, I'm 20 at the time, oh, 21. I'm just going to have knee surgery one day. That's just what happens from hurdling, from sprinting. And then, yeah, hindsight's 2020 now. No pain whatsoever. No walking upstairs. I can squat, jump. Jumping was so painful. There were certain things where it's like, oh, scary. I don't want to do that. And now it's like, no, I have like superpower knees. Now you can ask me to do anything with these knees.
When you have pain like that, you kind of get to the point where it's like your body, when you're about to do something and your body kind of recognizes there's going to be pain at the end of doing that, you know, whether it's squatting or going up some stairs or jumping or whatever it is. And you get that kind of, you know, pullback. It's like your body's telling you, don't do this because it's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that pain starts going, you know, you're still getting those reactions a little bit, even though you can do those things, you know, your body's like, this is going to hurt. And you say, oh, no, it's not. Oh, it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yep.
At this point, how animal based are you? Are you 100% carnivore now? Are you more, would you say more keto? How are things for you now?
So it's so challenging with social media, because if I didn't have a social media channel, people ask me like, what's your diet? I'd be like, I don't like, I just eat the foods that make me feel good. And so I know this is something like Nisha Berry and I have talked about so many times, where we're like, we feel like if I were to not label my video and it just said like what to eat, then how people are going to think, well, what if I click on this video? She's going to tell me all about how to be a vegan, you know, like you don't know, you kind of have to label it, even though I would never do that in real life. I don't eat a 100% carnivore diet. And I don't even say I eat keto either, because I will have milk, yogurt, maybe a piece of fruit. Like randomly I'll have a potato or something. So it's not that I'm like, okay, if this isn't keto, then I can't have it. It's just, is this going to make me feel good? Like the reason I didn't have a donut this morning for breakfast wasn't because of the diet rules or because someone online told me not to eat a donut. It's because when I eat donuts, my skin gets worse and I have a headache and I sugar crash and I have more mood swings. And so, yeah, it's tough. I would say 85% of my foods are animal foods.
Um, any kind of any kind of diet along the lines of keto, carnivore, whatever it is, when you're eliminating a lot of foods, like you did, you eliminated all the junk and you basically went on to a more animal-based diet.
Mhm.
I find that, you know, it gets you much more in tune with what's working for you and what's not, so that when you get to the point where you know you can bring different things in, you realize this is not good for me. You know, that donut for breakfast is not going to work for me. I'm going to feel like really bad afterwards, right?
Right. Well, and
Mm,
even like certain foods, like an onion, I love the taste of onions, but if I have too many of them, I can start like, oh, yep, my BO is coming back. And it's like, you just wouldn't know these things if you were just eating everything. So I
mm.
have done strict carnivore diets in the past, it depends on the season. Like today I've eaten only meat, but then maybe tomorrow I'll have something else. I think more in the wintertime, I'm more carnivore than throughout like the summertime when I have more access to fresh fruit. It's just tough because, where I live, I don't live by the ocean, so I don't have a lot of access to like really good fish and seafood, shrimp. But then also, I feel like just the produce by me is not fresh. It just seems like it is old and moldy and rotten. And I'm going in the grocery store, like inspecting all these fruits, saying, okay, this one's got white mold, this one's got black mold, this one's opened up already. The bugs are getting to it. So it's like so tough. If I had a garden, it would be a different story. But because of just uh, the way of the world nowadays, everything's tampered with and shipped from Timbuktu, and it's picked before it's ripe and it's gassed and it's sprayed, and it's just too bad, because why'd they have to go and mess with all the food?
During your journey, at what point did you decide, okay, well, I want to talk about this on YouTube?
So I actually started my YouTube channel was all about DIY crafts. Hey. And so it was during COVID where I actually was first exposed to Mr. Beast. And he's giving away houses and cars and money. And you can just see how happy these people are. And with my past growing up, so I actually ended up becoming an emancipated minor, meaning I legally became an adult before 18. And I haven't spoken with my mom or dad. I mean, my dad since I was probably like 5, my mom for over 10 years. Since I was 16, I moved out. And when I was a senior in high school, because of my story of my past, I ended up getting so many scholarships and I was getting so much money to go to school. And I felt so blessed that I told myself, I'm going to start a scholarship fund when I'm older. And so my senior year of high school, I actually gave away my first scholarship. I gave $1,000 away. At that time, I worked at Baskin Robbins 31 flavors ice cream and saved up some money and gave away $1,000 to someone in my school who I just thought deserved it. And so YouTube channel, I was saying, oh, I want to be like Mr. Beast and I want to give away money and I want to give away. I thought YouTube was much easier. I hadn't really been exposed to the YouTube world. So I thought, you post a video, you get 1 million subscribers, and then all of a sudden the money comes in and you can just start giving it out. Yeah, it doesn't really work like that. But so I started saying, okay, I'm going to make crafts and I'm going to send these crafts to people all over the world. It didn't really pick up. And eventually I said, okay, well, let me test like what to get someone for Valentine's Day. Oh, okay, what's trending in 2021 or whatever the year was. And I said, what I eat in a day. And then boom, that video went viral. And so many people were asking, well, why didn't you have coffee? How come you don't have that many seasonings? Well, why do you eat these foods? And so then I kind of got more into the topic. But otherwise, I was just minding my business, eating my food, happily, feeling good. And then I just accidentally, I guess, kind of made a video where it popped off and a lot of questions came in and I said, oh my gosh, this can really help people. Who cares about my 99-cent store crafts I'm giving? I'm making candles and wreaths, like whatever. This is really changing people's lives. And so that's kind of how it all began.
What was the initial reaction from people? Were they like, this is crazy, or this is what I've been doing too?
Crazy. So this is almost 2.5 years ago. It was in January of 2021. And I said, like, the video title was like, I only eat these 6 foods, because at that time, like, we had just moved here. Like, I was just eating 6 foods and I was happy and I was good with my 6 foods. And yeah, so a lot of people initially were saying like red meat's going to give you cancer, clog your heart, all these things I had never ever heard. I don't get taught this in school. When I was in elementary school, they're not saying, hey, you eat red meat, you're going to have clogged arteries. Nobody taught me that. So it was through people's comments where I started saying, what? I did not know that this was going to happen. I'm going to start interviewing Ken Berry, Dr. Robert Sivas, Ted Naiman. I'm interviewing all these people just so I can get clarification, because, I didn't do the laboratory study. I didn't measure the mice. How did it happen? So yeah, initially I was pretty shocked by how many people were saying like, oh, this is terrible. But it all worked out.
The road you were on, if you hadn't changed the way you were eating,
yeah,
where do you think you'd be now?
Well, I was eating so much sugar. So I was gaining weight too. So it was like slowly. I think everybody one day that they don't notice that they gained 50 pounds overnight. It happens very gradually. So I was gaining weight and I didn't think of myself that way. I thought I'm still lean until I look back on pictures now and I go, oh my goodness, I had 18 pounds to lose. I didn't even know it. So I know I would have, been bigger, but also I had a lot of mental health issues. I was depressed. I was anxious. I mean, I still have anxiety things to work on, but in general, I didn't love myself as much. And I know it seems weird. It's like, okay, well, how does eating meat make you love yourself more? But it's like kind of self-torture if you're putting things into your body and you don't know too how terrible they are for you. But when we put food into our gut, it impacts our whole body. And so it changes our mind and how we think and how we behave. And so I just had a lot of low self-esteem and I just really was desperate. And now I just feel more free. Where you can tell me my diet's wrong or that I'm talk too fast or whatever you want to say about me that's negative. And then it just kind of bounces off because I don't have to have the same approval because I can slow down more and be more okay with the moment versus in the past needing to chase the next best thing and be a part of the group, be a part of the tribe, make everybody happy and not love myself. So I was just trying to please everybody else.
It's interesting you talk about the approval, not needing the approval of others so much. I find with this way of eating, it helps you have mental clarity. So you almost rise above the fray kind of thing, like before you're in the middle of it, you kind of fight it. You're putting out spot fires all the time, and when you eat this way, you're kind of stepping back almost so that you can look at, okay, so what is the cause of all these spot fires? I'm going to go and address that issue so that I can put everything out.
Right. I,
Hmm.
as a lady, I will admit, I would cry almost every day, whether I'm watching a movie or somebody said the wrong thing. But it was like I was just constantly crying, and I said, "Oh, if you don't cry every day, then like something happened." But yeah, no, that's definitely not a normal thing.
At the beginning, your influence was your husband. Is it your husband that has helped you to stick with your changed way of eating, or is it the way you feel, or is it the fact that you're very public about what you eat and people are watching you every day and it's like, well, I can't go off this now. What keeps you going?
Yeah, definitely, my husband's a big part of it because I had such a skewed idea of how the world works when I was a young person. I thought that my grandparents both passed away in their 70s. And my husband, whenever I say like I don't want to live to be past 70, he's like, "Why are you saying that? That's crazy." Because his grandparents are still in their 90s. So yeah, his love for life and wanting to be around even when you're old, it doesn't have to be a miserable kind of. I always just thought, oh, when you become a certain age, you have to be in a wheelchair and a walker. Someone has to take care of you. My grandmother had Alzheimer's when she was like in her 60s, and she was in a home and she couldn't go to the bathroom and she couldn't eat and she couldn't speak English anymore. So I thought when you get to a certain age, there's no point of living. And he really emphasized, like, no, if you eat the right things, if you get the good sleep, if you get in the sun, if you move your body, you can still travel and be healthy and happy and be able to pick up boxes and chase around the grandkids no matter what, no matter what age you are. If you go to the different blue zones or the tribes who have been around for a long time, the oldest, most wisest people you want to turn to and give the grandkids to are the older generation. So he definitely really has changed my mindset around wanting to have a long, healthy, happy life. And then on top of it, yes, he and I don't eat exactly the same now. I think he's been having more success with more carbs because he's more into like the bodybuilding, working out, and we go and work out together. But he's definitely pushing it harder than I am, and he just loses a lot of muscle if he just does no carbs. So he just feels better and sleeps better when he has more. Um, I could, a lot of the beginning of my learning of how to eat was kind of copying him. Okay, oh, that's what works for him. Cool, I need to do that. And now I've gotten to the point where I can be like, okay, if I have sweet potatoes every single day, my joint pain comes back. It's not worth it to me. But I can, if I want to have it here and there, that's fine. But he might be able to get away with it more. Or there's times where I used to put hot sauce on my food all the time. He couldn't do it. He was having sinus issues and runny eyes, and so he couldn't do that. So it's now nice to have found, okay, you're gonna find things that really work. Like we just bought sauerkraut. It is messing him up. He cannot do the sauerkraut. I can have it. I don't really like the taste of it, but we can like do our own experiment and still be able to come to the table and eat whatever we need to eat to make us feel the best. So I think that answers the question on yes, I do it initially because my husband helped me realize, you want to eat things that make you feel good because you want to live a good life. And then me now saying, okay, but I don't need to do exactly what you're doing. I can make my own decision. I know how to do this now. I can experiment and I know what works for me. And it evolves and it changes, and that's okay too.
We're doing this interview kind of the afternoon. So, what has your eating been like today? Can you paint a picture of your day of eating so far?
I drank a glass of milk at like 7, then a glass of milk, raw milk, at around 9:30. For lunch, I just had half a pound of ground beef, liver. It was like raw liver. And I had two Brazil nuts for the selenium. And that was all I've eaten so far.
And typically, do you just eat when you're hungry? Are you eating like 3 meals a day?
I am always hungry. I think I have just a really strong metabolism. But I don't know what's considered a meal. Like, is having a glass of milk considered a meal? I mean, it's breaking a fast. It is me eating. So I eat 5 times in a day, but like meals wise, I have like 2 big meals. So my lunch and my dinner are big, but then I'll have a glass of milk. And then by evening, I will have yogurt and a piece of fruit. And that's my like dessert. So that's well, I've been out of yogurt this week, so I've been having this Jello I've been making. It's beef, gelatin, and electrolytes, and that's all it takes. I thought Jello was like way more complex than that, but no. You get some beef, gelatin, you get your glycine in, good for the gut, good for the nails, hair, skin, joints, good for sleep. Also, when we eat a lot of red meat, we have a lot more methionine. The glycine is going to help balance some of that out. So yeah, I've been having a lot of Jello this week. And it's super low calorie too. So if anyone's trying to lose weight and they just like to have a lot of bulk, they want to just like eat a lot of food, Jello is mainly water.
Do you eat eggs as well?
Sometimes. I have duck eggs in the house right now. I also have chicken eggs too. But if I overdo it with eggs, I actually will get a little bit more like dry skin and dandruff. So I think eggs are really nutrient dense. They are like essentially a multivitamin. So I would love to have eggs every single day. I promote eggs. I tell people to eat eggs all the time if they can handle it. I've tried just doing the egg yolks, and that works for me. But then I just feel bad because I'm wasting all these whites and throwing them in the trash. Or people tell me to cook them for the critters and give it to them. But I'm not trying to be Snow White with a whole aisle of animals outside my backyard. So I do eggs sometimes.
So how do you prepare the liver?
We just sear it real quick on a cast iron pan in like bacon grease. And so maybe like 30 seconds on each side. And then it is pretty raw on the inside because we found that initially we were nervous. Everybody, oh, liver sounds nasty, or like I don't know how to cook it, so let's just cook the heck out of it. And it would come out like a hockey puck, rough, tough. You can't chew through it, and it very metallic-y and tastes like iron. And then if we do it just straight raw, I don't know, it's kind of slimy. It's like eating a slug. It's slippery, and I don't really love it. So we just sear the outside, but then the inside, yeah, it's just really raw. And I really like the taste. I know some people, they just don't like the taste of liver. It's not necessary to have, but it does have tons of nutrients. I don't have it every day, but when we have it, I do enjoy every bite. I like it more than ground beef sometimes.
Where is the future for you as far as eating? Like, is this, you plan to eat this way forever? Do you think you're probably going to change things up?
I plan to always just do what is working. So I know that some people, they want to see like the scientific studies, they want to see the research paper, they want to have the doctor's approval. I don't really care. Like big things like have apple cider vinegar. I'm sorry, I don't like it. Like I'm not having apple cider vinegar. So to me, I don't really care if there's a research paper or a study backing up what I'm doing. And if I'm doing something and it's working, I'm gonna keep doing it. If I'm doing something, if somebody else says this is what you need to do, and I try it and it doesn't work for me, then it doesn't, I'm not going to continue doing that. So, yeah, I plan on not having processed foods. I just don't see the value in them. And then as far as like, I'm not anti-vegetables. I'm not anti-fruit. Most grains in the U.S. grocery store, I am pretty not supportive of, but certain grains could definitely be made properly and be fine for certain people depending on their gut status. But in general, I'm not like, oh man, I wish I had like white rice with my meal. I'm just not really, I don't get much value out of it. To me, it's not like super flavorful. So animal based for sure. And just because, I love steak. I love burger patties. I love bacon. I love shrimp and fish and seafood. And if you think about it, when you go to the restaurants, you order your meal, you're ordering like the meat of the meal. You're not actually like, oh, I want to order the meal because it comes with potatoes. You're like, I want to order the meal and it comes with these extra things. So yeah, I think just at the end of the day, of course, always doing what works best for me. But my husband already went through all the trauma of the plant-based, so I didn't have to do that.
Right. Like, what was some of the issues that he experienced doing plant-based?
So he never was diagnosed. So I'm just to say this with a grain of salt, but he had like more gout-like symptoms. He had more ulcerative colitis, leaky gut, irritable bowel, SIBO. His skin was just had these weird, he kind of looked like a cow, but instead of black spots, it was pink spots. So it was popping up all over his chest. It would move slowly up more his neck, on his back, on his bum, on his arms. He was just covered in these like patchy spots of redness and inflamed skin. And then, a lot of gut, like painful bowel movements, blood in the stool. Just a not great digestion situation. And then his feet would break out in like toenail fungus, scaly feet, swollen feet, cracked feet. So yeah, mainly feet, gut, skin. But he liked, like, he will tell me the positives too. So like when he says like, oh, when I did an all fruit diet, I felt very light. But when he did an all fruit diet, he had been 175, very muscular, fit, bodybuilder kind of guy, went down to 130 pounds eating all fruit, was a stick, and
Wow.
he said that, as a man, you just, or anybody, women, you need to look skinny, men, you need to look strong, according to
Hmm.
society, to get respect. So he said, like, just like he was the same person, but his respect and the way that people talked to him, the way that people approached him when he was just a tiny, little person, he just said like he didn't feel like he fit into society. People asked him if he was okay. Are you sick? Are you anorexic? Are you hurt? What's going on? And so just societal pressure as well is another thing that like can mess with your mental health.
You have quite a lot of experience with the way you're eating that makes you feel best. And I guess you've also interacted with a lot of people, whether it's through your channel or directly, about the way they're eating too.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you work with people one on one to help them with that kind of stuff?
Yes, I do have, I do coaching. And
Mhm.
so certain people, they want to lose weight. Other people, they want to heal their gut. Other people, they're trying to build muscle. Um, and then other people, they're just like, hey, I'm going through a divorce and I think you'd be a good person to talk to about what's going on. Or, I'm trying to move out of my house. Like, how do I approach these things? So I'm just trying to be a friend to anybody. But yeah, as far as health coaching goes, um, I it depends on what the person's goal is. Like, I think when it comes to weight loss, the best thing for weight loss is just doing something that's going to help you enjoy your meals and be sustainable. So for certain people, going strict carnivore, they're not going to be able to maintain that forever. If I say get rid of your coffee, get rid of your, all they're just things that make them happy. Then if they can't stick to it, then, maybe they do it for 30 days and they lose weight. Great. But, there's stats out there that 6 out of 7 people who start a diet lose weight. That's great. That means the majority of people who start are going to lose weight. However, over 85% of them will regain the weight within 3 years. That's the majority of people. Majority of people are going to regain the weight. So how can we prevent that? Are you doing a diet that is going to involve a lot of prep work and cooking? You got to bake and sprout and soak your beans. Is it going to make you feel awkward at social events? Is it going to taste nasty and you're eating liver and you don't like doing that? So I just try to create meals that you can absolutely start losing weight, feeling good, but make you that you enjoy and you look forward to having. And then you also have confidence in what you're doing, where you're around your family and your friends and you're like, yeah, this is what I'm eating and I love it.
Oh, nice. And so if anyone wants to speak to you about that kind of thing, how do they get in touch with you?
It's on my website. It's linked on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's everywhere. So, or you can.
Okay. You've got an event that you're attending coming up. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Sally Norton's actually putting together an event in Tennessee during the fall, November 1st through the 5th. And there's a big, huge, beautiful, like mansion-y cabin where we're for 4 nights, 5 days, we're going to be doing like um, some limbic exercises, retraining the brain, some maybe light yoga or some small movement exercises. And then also eating the organic, pasture raised, local, fresh quality food. There's going to be special guest speakers, and so it's just an event where people can kind of get together, learn more about health and nutrition, and feel good.
Nice. And can anyone join that?
Yep, there's only a select amount of spots open, so it's like you get a bedroom, and then yep, but anybody can join. You just got to make sure you can get there, because it's not like a online event. Unfortunately, it is all in person.
Yeah, these days it's strange to talk about in-person events after the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And I'll link to that below. Is that something that you'll be speaking at, or will you be there to actually just, enjoy the event and also kind of network with others?
And fingers crossed I get to relax. But I don't mind speaking as well. It hasn't been anything set in stone. I'm mainly just going for the hopefully relaxation and retraining my brain and good food.
Nice. If you had one piece of advice that would help people improve their mental health or improve their physical health, what's that one piece of advice?
Have more protein. because if you have more protein, it can start keeping you more full. So it's actually, there's studies out there that actually our brains won't signal to our body, stop eating, I'm full, until we've had enough protein for the day. So if someone's eating just copious amounts of even just butter, you're probably not going to feel as full, and because there's no protein in it. So if you focus on protein, and let's say you're eating a standard American diet, well, now you're slowly going to have less Skittles and slowly have less Doritos just because you're so gosh darn full, you can't squeeze it in. So, and then it's also just great for our bones, our bodies, our structure. And I think that as people age, they don't prioritize protein as much, or they're afraid, certain people are afraid if you have too much protein, bad for your longevity, bad for your kidneys. And it's actually quite the opposite in terms of longevity. Many people are, as they age, they need more protein. And then when they fall and they break a hip, well, they didn't have their protective armor on, essentially. And so I think starting with protein is a really great step, because inevitably it can stop. Telling someone don't have sugar is really hard. Telling someone, hey, have less protein, inevitably they're going to have less sugar.
Really nice. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for spending some time with us today, Lillie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice meeting you.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.